Today I will show you not just what to say, but how to become the kind of man whose words, even in silence, create instant attraction. Most men speak too much and say too little. They believe that attraction is built through constant words, filling every silence with stories, compliments, and attempts to entertain. But a man who truly understands attraction knows that speaking is not about how much he says, but about the weight his words carry. When a man speaks with purpose, every word has intention. He does not ramble to fill silence. He does not seek approval with excessive explanations or justifications. He says only what he means, and because of that, people listen. Women in particular are highly attuned to the energy behind a man's words. They can sense when a man is speaking from insecurity, trying too hard to impress, or looking for validation. A man who asks too many questions out of nervousness, who over-explains himself, or who constantly agrees just to be liked, quickly becomes unattractive. Not because his words are wrong, but because his energy reveals weakness. A man who speaks with purpose never asks for permission with his tone. He does not speak in a way that seeks approval. Instead, his words are grounded in certainty. He does not say things to impress. He says them because they are true to him. This is why, when such a man speaks, others pay attention. His presence commands respect before his words are even spoken. Imagine two men approaching the same woman. The first man tries to be entertaining, throwing out compliments and talking about his accomplishments in hopes of impressing her. His energy is scattered. His words feel rehearsed, as if he is trying to win her favor. The second man, however, is calm. He speaks only when he has something to say. He does not rush to fill the gaps in conversation. Instead, when he does speak, his voice is steady, his words are direct, and his confidence is felt rather than explained. Who do you think she will be more drawn to? The man who needs her attention, or the man who is already complete, with or without it? Speaking with purpose also means eliminating weak language. Words like maybe, I think, or kind of dilute a message. Instead of saying, maybe we should go out sometime, say, let's go out this weekend. Instead of, I think that movie was pretty good, say, that movie was great. When you remove hesitation from your speech, you demonstrate certainty, one of the most attractive traits a man can have. But purpose in speech is not just about confidence, it is about honesty. Many men speak in ways that betray their own values just to be liked. They laugh at jokes they do not find funny, agree with opinions they do not believe in, and hold back their true thoughts out of fear of rejection. But a man who speaks with purpose never bends himself to fit in. He does not change his words to please others. He stands firm in what he believes, and because of that, he earns genuine respect. This does not mean being rude or dismissive. It does not mean talking over people or forcing opinions onto others. It simply means knowing what you believe and expressing it without hesitation. When a man does this, his words become powerful because they come from a place of authenticity. Attraction is not built through excessive words. It is built through presence, through the way a man carries himself, and through the intention behind his speech. When a man speaks with purpose, he does not need to say much to be heard. He does not seek approval because he already approves of himself. And in that self-assurance, he becomes magnetic. So the next time you speak, ask yourself, am I saying this because I truly mean it, or because I want to be liked? If the answer is the latter, remain silent, because sometimes the most powerful statement is knowing when to say nothing at all. Most men fear silence. They believe that if they are not constantly speaking, the woman in front of them will lose interest, the conversation will become awkward, and they will fail to make an impression. This fear drives them to talk too much, to rush their words, to fill every pause with unnecessary chatter. But in doing so, they unknowingly reveal their insecurity. A man who cannot sit comfortably in silence is a man who lacks confidence in himself. He believes his words must entertain, that he must keep a woman engaged through constant effort. But a truly confident man knows that silence is not his enemy, it is his ally. Silence is where tension is built. Silence is where mystery is created. Silence is where a man's presence is felt the most. When you speak with confidence, you do not rush. You do not scramble for the next topic. Instead, you embrace pauses. You allow your words to settle. You let the silence do the work for you. This is the difference between a man who is trying to impress and a man who knows he does not need to. Imagine two men in conversation. The first speaks quickly, filling every gap with jokes and stories, afraid that if he stops talking, he will lose the woman's attention. The second man speaks slowly and deliberately. He takes his time. He pauses after his sentences, allowing his words to be absorbed before moving on. When she asks him a question, he does not rush to answer. He takes a moment, thinks, and then speaks. Which man appears more confident? Which man seems more in control? The ability to be comfortable in silence is a rare trait, and because it is rare, it is powerful. When a man embraces silence, he commands respect without needing to demand it. He shows that he is secure in himself, that he does not feel the need to prove anything. This is attractive because women, like all people, are drawn to strength. And strength is best displayed not through excessive words, but through self-assurance. Silence also creates anticipation. When you do not immediately respond, when you take a moment to think before you speak, the person in front of you becomes more engaged. They lean in. They pay attention. Your words, no matter how simple, become more impactful because they are given space to be felt. This does not mean you should remain silent the entire time. It does not mean you should ignore questions or refuse to engage in conversation. It means that when you speak, you do so with intention. You do not talk just to fill space. You talk because you have something worth saying. Most men underestimate the power of slowing down. When you slow down your speech, when you lower your tone, when you allow pauses to exist naturally, you create a presence that is impossible to ignore. You become someone who is listened to rather than someone who is simply heard. Women are particularly sensitive to this. They notice the way a man speaks, the rhythm of his words, the confidence in his pauses. A man who is comfortable in silence exudes control over himself, over his emotions, over the situation, and control is magnetic. Think about the most charismatic individuals you have ever met. They do not rush their words. They do not interrupt themselves. They do not fear the moment between sentences. Instead, they own the silence. They use it to their advantage. And because of that, people hang onto their every word. So the next time you find yourself in conversation, resist the urge to fill every pause. Instead, embrace the silence. Let it add weight to your words. Let it communicate confidence without you having to say a thing. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a man can say is nothing at all. Most men believe that to attract a woman, they must win her over with compliments, agree with everything she says, and make her feel as comfortable as possible. They fear disagreement, avoid confrontation, and go out of their way to be agreeable, thinking that this will make them more likable. But in doing so, they become predictable, uninteresting, and ultimately forgettable. Attraction is not built through blind approval. It is built through challenge. A man who is willing to challenge a woman, to question her views, to make her think, is far more intriguing than a man who simply nods along to everything she says. Women are drawn to men who spark something within them. Curiosity, excitement, even frustration. It is in that emotional engagement that real attraction is created. When you challenge a woman, you separate yourself from every other man who is trying to please her. You become different. You become someone who is not afraid to stand his ground, someone who has his own beliefs, someone who does not need to conform just to gain approval. This is rare, and because it is rare, it is valuable. This does not mean being rude. It does not mean arguing for the sake of arguing. It means being unafraid to express your own thoughts, even if they differ from hers. It means pushing back when you disagree instead of nodding along just to keep the peace. It means teasing her in a way that makes her laugh, questioning her in a way that makes her think, and engaging with her in a way that makes her think. and engaging with her in a way that makes her think, alive. Imagine two conversations. In the first, a man agrees with everything a woman says. If she likes a certain movie, he immediately says he likes it too. If she talks about a certain belief, he agrees without question. If she makes a statement, he does not challenge it. The conversation is smooth, polite, and completely forgettable. In the second conversation, the man listens, but when she says something he does not fully agree with, he questions it. If she says she loves a particular book, he asks why, and if he disagrees, he expresses it playfully. If she makes a statement that is too absolute, he challenges her to defend it. There is a back and forth, a tension, a spark. The conversation is no longer just words, it is an experience. Who do you think she will remember? The man who agreed with everything, or the man who made her think, laugh, and feel something? Women are drawn to men who have a strong sense of self. A man who is willing to challenge her is a man who does not fear rejection, who does not feel the need to impress, who is already secure in himself. This confidence is what makes the interaction exciting. It creates unpredictability. It makes her wonder about you. There is a reason why women are often attracted to men who are difficult to win over. It is not because they enjoy difficulty, it is because they enjoy the feeling of earning someone's interest. When you challenge a woman, when you do not immediately give her your full approval, you create that dynamic. You show that your attention is valuable, that you do not hand it out freely, and that if she wants it, she must engage with you on a deeper level. This is why teasing is such a powerful tool. A playful challenge, a light-hearted pushback, a joke at the right moment. All of these things create tension in the best way. They make the conversation dynamic. They prevent it from becoming flat and predictable. But the key is balance. A man who challenges too aggressively, who argues just to prove himself right, who belittles instead of playfully teasing, will push a woman away. The goal is not to dominate, it is to engage, to make her think, to make her feel something beyond the dull comfort of easy agreement. So the next time you find yourself in conversation, resist the urge to be overly agreeable. Instead, challenge her, make her defend her ideas, tease her in a way that makes her laugh. Give her an experience that stands out from every other man who is simply trying to win her approval. Because attraction is not about making a woman comfortable. It is about making her feel something real. Most men enter interactions with women hoping for a specific outcome. They want approval, validation, attraction, something that reassures them they are enough. This attachment to results makes them tense, overly invested, and easy to read. Their words, their body language, even their energy reveal one thing: they want something. And the moment a woman senses that a man is trying to get something from her, whether it's her attention, affection, or approval, he loses value. Attraction fades when desire turns into neediness, when a man becomes too eager to impress, too reactive to her responses, too affected by whether she likes him or not. The most attractive men, on the other hand, are those who are fully engaged in the moment but detached from the outcome. They enjoy the conversation, they are present, but they do not need anything from it. If the interaction goes well, great. If it does not shake them. Their sense of self remains intact, regardless of whether a woman responds positively or walks away. This unshakable presence is what makes them magnetic. When a man is detached, he is unaffected by rejection. He does not flinch if a woman seems uninterested. He does not chase when she pulls away. He does not desperately try to keep her engaged. Instead, he remains grounded, as if nothing outside of him can disturb his peace. Women are drawn to this because it signals strength. A man who does not need her attention is infinitely more attractive than one who is constantly seeking it. His lack of attachment to the outcome shows that he has options, that he values himself, that he is not looking for validation, but instead offering a presence that is rare and captivating. Imagine two men approaching the same woman. The first man is eager, his energy slightly nervous, his words carefully chosen to impress. He is watching for her reactions, adjusting himself based on her responses, hoping that she likes him. The second man, however, is calm. He speaks because he enjoys the interaction, not because he is trying to win her over. If she engages, he welcomes it. If she does not, he is unaffected. Who is more attractive, the man who needs her interest or the man who chooses to engage without attachment? This ability to be detached but engaged does not mean being cold, distant, or indifferent. It is not about acting as if you do not care. It is about caring without needing. It is about being fully present, fully involved in the interaction, but never losing yourself in it. Most men, when they feel a conversation slipping away, panic. They overcompensate, talk too much, try too hard. This only makes things worse. A man who is truly detached does the opposite. He remains steady. He does not rush to fill silence. He does not force anything. He simply is. And that stillness, that control is what makes him stand out. A detached man also does not seek external validation. If a woman is not responsive, he does not take it personally. He does not try to convince her to like him. He knows that attraction is not something to be forced. It is something that happens naturally when he remains true to himself. Women often describe the most attractive men as those who have an aura about them. Something intangible that makes them stand out. That aura is simply a deep sense of self-assurance. A man who does not bend himself for approval, who does not become emotionally reactive, who does not need to prove his worth. This is a man who naturally draws others in. Being detached but engaged is the balance between caring and not caring at the same time. It is the ability to be fully in the moment without being controlled by the outcome. It is playing the game, but never becoming desperate to win. So the next time you find yourself speaking to a woman, ask yourself, am I trying to get something from this interaction, or am I simply enjoying it? If you are attached to an outcome, let go. If you are seeking approval, stop. Instead, be present, be engaged, but never be dependent on what happens next. Because the most attractive men are not those who chase. They are the ones who could chase, but choose not to. Most men believe that attraction is about convincing a woman to like them. They pursue, they impress, they try to prove their worth. But in doing so, they place themselves in a position of lower value. They become the one seeking approval, the one working for attention, the one who needs to be chosen. Attraction does not work this way. A man who chases is a man who signals that he has something to prove, that he believes the woman's attention is more valuable than his own. The moment a man places a woman on a pedestal, he lowers himself beneath her. And the moment he does that, she loses interest. The most attractive men do not chase, they challenge. They do not hand out their attention freely. They do not try to impress. Instead, they hold themselves to a high standard and expect the same from others. This creates intrigue. It shifts the dynamic. Instead of proving their worth, they invite the woman to prove hers. Women are used to being pursued. They are used to men doing whatever it takes to win them over. When they meet a man who does not immediately fall into that role, who does not try too hard, who does not seem desperate to gain their approval, it stands out. It makes them curious. It makes them wonder, why isn't he chasing me like the others? This curiosity creates attraction. It makes a woman want to earn his attention rather than simply receive it. And in doing so, the balance of power shifts. He becomes the prize, not her. This does not mean being rude or dismissive. It does not mean ignoring her or playing mind games. It simply means holding your ground, setting a standard, and refusing to lower yourself just to gain someone's interest. When a man challenges instead of chases, his interactions become different. Instead of bombarding a woman with compliments, he teases her. Instead of trying to fit into her world, he invites her into his. Instead of agreeing with everything she says, he questions her. This back and forth, this push and pull creates tension, the foundation of attraction. Imagine two men meeting the same woman. The first showers her with compliments, laughs at all her jokes even if they are not funny, agrees with everything she says. He makes it clear that he is eager to win her over, that her approval is important to him. The second man is different. He listens but does not immediately give her validation. When she says something, he challenges her in a playful way. If she makes a bold statement, he makes her defend it. If she flirts, he flirts back, but he does not fall at her feet. Instead of trying to prove that he is good enough for her, he makes her wonder if she is good enough for him. Which man do you think she will be more drawn to, the one who is chasing or the one who is making her work for his attention? The answer is obvious. Women are not attracted to men who seek their approval. They are attracted to men who already approve of themselves. A man who chases gives up his power. A man who challenges keeps it. This is why playful teasing is so powerful. A well-placed joke, a confident smirk, a question that makes her think. These things create attraction in a way that compliments never will. They show that you are not afraid to push back, that you are not desperate to please, that you are comfortable being yourself, whether she approves or not.
But the key is balance. A man who challenges too aggressively, who argues just to prove a point, who belittles instead of playfully teasing, will push a woman away. The goal is not to dominate, it is to engage, to create an interaction that is dynamic and unpredictable, to make her feel something real. Attraction is not about winning a woman over. It is not about chasing her until she gives in. It is about setting a standard for yourself and seeing if she meets it. It is about being someone worth pursuing rather than someone who is constantly in pursuit. So the next time you find yourself in conversation with a woman, ask yourself, am I trying to impress her, or am I making her work to impress me? If you are chasing, stop. Instead, challenge, engage, create tension. Let her feel that she is not the only one with high standards, because the men who are truly desired are not the ones who chase. They are the ones who challenge, who intrigue, who make a woman want to earn their attention. They do not beg for interest, they command it. Most men walk into interactions with women seeking validation. They want to be liked, to be accepted, to be approved of. This desire makes them careful with their words, hesitant in their actions, and overly concerned with how they are perceived. But in trying to be liked, they become forgettable. They blend into the background as just another man hoping for attention. The most attractive men, however, do not seek permission to be themselves. They do not shape their personalities to fit the situation. They do not adjust their behavior just to be more appealing. Instead, they walk into every interaction with the mindset that they are already enough. They are who they are, and the world can take it or leave it. Women are drawn to this kind of man because he does not seek validation. He gives it to himself. He does not wait for approval before expressing himself. He does not filter his words in fear of being judged. He does not shrink himself to avoid offending or disagreeing. He moves through the world with a quiet certainty, and that certainty makes him magnetic. When a man truly owns who he is, he radiates an energy that others can feel. His presence is strong, not because he forces it, but because he carries himself with an unshakable belief that he belongs wherever he stands. He does not apologize for his existence. He does not ask, is it okay if I say this? Is it okay if I do this? He simply acts, and others respond to that certainty. Women do not want a man who tiptoes around them, constantly looking for signs of approval. They want a man who makes a decision and stands by it, a man who speaks without hesitation, a man who does not need permission to take up space. Imagine two men walking into a room. The first hesitates. He scans the crowd, trying to read the energy of the people around him. He is careful with his movements, making sure not to stand out too much, waiting for the right moment to speak. When he finally does, his voice is unsure, as if he is testing the waters before fully expressing himself. The second man walks in with a calm presence. He does not scan the room for approval. He assumes he belongs there. When he speaks, he does so with certainty, not because he demands attention, but because he does not fear being ignored. He does not rush his words, does not seek reactions, does not second-guess himself. He is not there to prove anything. He is simply being. Who do you think commands more respect? Who do you think women will be more drawn to? The man waiting for permission to exist, or the man who acts as though he has nothing to prove? This is the difference between men who attract and men who chase. The man who owns himself does not need to convince anyone of his worth. He embodies it. He does not need to seek validation because his confidence is internal, not dependent on external approval. Owning who you are also means standing by your beliefs. Many men fear disagreement. They avoid expressing strong opinions because they do not want to risk pushing someone away. But in doing so, they become bland, their presence weak and forgettable. A man who owns who he is does not fear disagreement. He welcomes it. He is not afraid to have his own thoughts, his own tastes, his own way of seeing the world. And because he is not afraid to stand alone, others are naturally drawn to stand with him. This also applies to the way a man interacts with women. Too many men hesitate to flirt, to express interest, to make a move because they are waiting for some kind of signal that it is safe to do so. They are afraid of rejection, afraid of overstepping, afraid of making a mistake. But a man who owns who he is does not hesitate. If he is interested, he makes it known. Not in a way that is forceful, but in a way that is undeniable. Confidence is not about never being rejected. It is about not fearing rejection. It is about being so grounded in who you are that whether someone accepts or rejects you does not change how you feel about yourself. Women respect and desire a man who moves through life with this level of certainty. But this does not mean being arrogant. Arrogance is a mask for insecurity. True confidence, the kind that creates attraction, is quiet, effortless, and unshakable. It does not need to be announced. It does not need to be forced. It simply is. So the next time you find yourself hesitating, overthinking, waiting for permission to be yourself, stop. Do not ask, is it okay if I say this? Is it okay if I do this? Instead, simply be. Speak as though your words matter. Act as though your presence is enough. Move through the world with the mindset that you do not need permission to exist fully.